Hi, good afternoon, everybody. Pleasure to be here. Thanks for Alan and AVIVA for putting on a really good event. So today I'm going to talk to you about a case study, a risk management case study. First of all, I just wanted to, by way of a recap, talk about where we are currently in the fire safety sector. So just over 7 years ago, June the 14th, 2017, obviously, as we all know, we had the Grenfell disaster. And that caused, quite rightly, a reaction, starting with Dame Judith Hackett's report. And interestingly, she wasn't part of the fire safety sector. She came from health and safety, chair of IOSH, I believe. So she was a fresh pair of eyes and was able to give us as an industry some really interesting insight. And as a result of that, we're now in a situation where we've had private public sector consultation with UK government, and we've now got more legislation, a new regulator. Is it perfect? Probably not. Do we have more potential? I would say we absolutely do. So we've had our old friend, the Fire Safety Order, for over 20 years. We've now got, that's been amended by the Fire Safety Act. We've got the Fire Safety England regs, Building Safety Act, and a Building Safety Regulator. It's unclear about enforcement. It's still young law. Case study is limited. It's all brand new. But and some of it, so therefore some of it will be ambiguous. But we've definitely got potential. So in my opinion, I think we are in a good place, and progress is being made. So annually, we're still around the 250 fatalities mark from fire deaths. Will that reduce? Hopefully, but that's been flatlining for some period of time. There was a spike in 2017 linked to Grenfell, but from the 80s, where we had 1,800 odd, we've made progress. I also wanted to touch on competency. Tim talked about competency. So Institute of Fire Engineers, of which I'm a member, they've been reminding us really of a fourth element, which, so we've always had qualifications, knowledge, experience, all important when combined, but we're now focusing on ethics. So if we've got all those three that I talked about, if we don't care, then they can fall away, and that's probably when we get problems. So the fact that we're all here today, we're all attending, I would say it's reasonable to say we all care about what we're trying to do in our working lives. So so my wife and I went to a Lionel Richie concert last night, which was amazing. 73-year-old Lionel belted out banger after banger. And it reminds me a little bit about today's event and other similar events. We get speech after speech after speech, and they're all good, but there'll be highlights that we remember, and that's what I'd advise some of my clients who are here today. Take away the highlights, keep going to these type of events, and build up fill in the gaps, basically, and keep the ethics high. So, on to the thrust of my presentation. So I'm going to talk to you about three case studies, the value of good data. So when we're faced with a big problem, and there's scale attached to that problem, there's consequences. So I lead a practice, a fire consultancy practice. We're not linked to contractors. We look to represent the client's best interest. And that follows on that we do, so the service users, their residents' best interests are naturally served, and also contractors as well. So it's very much a collaborative approach, not too adversarial. We're looking to get a round table agreement. What we're looking to do is get confidence and value in a solution so that we go the right way, basically. Now, to do that, we're going to need good data to support our decision making. Just one other thing on the recap about just going through our legal duties, our full legal duties. Some of the new law that's about now, we've always had must and shall rather than should. So you must do this, you shall do that. So some of the British standards will say you should inspect at this frequency and so on. So that's guidance, and clearly you should inspect every 6 months cannot apply to every single, for example, fire door in the country. So ultimately, as other speakers have mentioned, suitable and sufficient. It must be suitable and sufficient. And now has a new phrase come in, best endeavours. So what does best endeavours mean? Well, that's quite hard to determine. So I think that links back to ethics, about caring, about round table, about collaboration, also with contractors, because they're good at innovating. And that's what we are going to hopefully see with this, these 3 case studies I'm going to talk about. So let's see if the video works. So case study 1. So case study 1, we had a situation where there was a major refurbishment of an existing building, a complex building, high value building, lots of public, some definite fire hazards, and some very difficult evacuation problems to overcome. So a serious building, and we had a situation where the client wanted bespoke fire doors. So they weren't going to be BS476 tested. They weren't going to be certificated. They should have been and could have been installed under third-party certification, but they weren't. We'll go on to that later. So the way the architects got around that, and absolutely following best practice, there was an engineer judgment created by a UCAS test house. So they calculated how to manufacture these doors, what materials, what sizes, sectional sizes, all these sorts of things. Excellent. So that document was then was part of the plan, part of the project. So as one of our commissions, we went to do a kind of confirmatory inspection, and interestingly, so our practice is third-party certificated to carry out fire door inspections, and we kind of we discovered through some kind of a high-level analytical work that the doors have been manufactured not using the specified material. So the specified material was dense hardwood, 650 kilos a cubic metre. What the manufacturer actually used was a pine with defects. So we had knots, we had shakes. Okay, we've got a problem. We've got 100 of these doors that have gone rogue. What are we going to do about it? So one thing is you start an engagement with contractor and work out what the hell's gone on. The other thing is we've got a live building with public in it, right? So let's get on and do some research. Let's find out where we sit, where we stand, where the risk is. So we took a golden sample, the best door we could find, representative best door we could find, and we set fire to it basically. Full-scale test to see what happened, anticipating the worst but hoping for the best. Hopefully this plays. So we've got an FD60 softwood door at 12 minutes. You'll notice lots of smoke, cold smoke migration prior to the intumescent seals reacting. So that's kind of acceptable, which is reasonably alarming. So that went on so that's at 12 minutes. Okay, so we're good in terms of integrity, in terms of burn through. It's just that video just run out. But you can see the smoke percolating through. Interestingly, at the higher levels where we've got more fire load, 12 minutes in. Okay. Oh, let's go back. Okay, so this is an hour
60
in.
minutes.
An hour later, that's
No
the
burn
door.
through.
Same door.
The other side is completely gone.
Ignore my commentary.
Relying on the intumescence.
So we've got a softwood door that survived an hour, and you can see this massive reduction in smoke. So the intumescence, which incidentally Sarah from Lawrence is going to be talking about later, that'll be interesting. Intumescence are key, absolutely vital. But the reason this door worked is because there was enough mass of the softwood, and we had the manufacturer. So that's the inside of the door. So these white panels are basically 2 layers of plasterboard. And there was a 64 millimetre stick of softwood which it's pretty simple. It just degraded enough that we hit the target. Now, if it hadn't hit the target of 60 minutes, we could have maybe factored that into the fire strategy plan, looked at drills, looked at changing the management. But the point is, we'd have good data. We'd have good data to advise the client, right, you need to, if it's super serious, okay, you probably need to stop operating and replace. 2, you can carry on. And because we had a golden sample, we could match all the other doors in the building to the golden sample. So what we've established really is traceability, the golden thread, if you like, from the fire test to site. And if we're then risk assessing, we can factor all this in. So I was really surprised that passed. And it's annoying in a way, because now we've got all our training. That can't be right. We have to fail it. And it's a major non-compliance, which is true. Yet it passes. So there's a more holistic approach, perhaps, to some of this. And if you've got enough scale, it kind of justifies the expenditure of a test. Because to replace all 100 odd doors, £250,000, £300,000, perhaps more, let alone the destruction. So we quickly were able to establish that actually they were tolerable. So you could accept them on a risk-based approach. Okay, let's move on. So you can see there, actually, the aftermath of the test. Let's go on to another one. So this was, it'd be interesting to see whether you think this is going to be a reject or an accept. So this case study was a building with overnight sleeping. And we had a large-scale problem, probably multiple sites, maybe 1,000 doors that were upgraded, and that's what was left. So talk about third-party certification, complete lack of it, really. But that's just immaturity, really, of what is a very good organisation. Hence my point about coming to these. So that was discovered by some third-party certificated inspections where you've just followed process. You're an auditor. You don't muddy the waters. You keep it simple. You see a big brass plate on a door. What's behind that big brass plate? 2 huge holes. Oh, okay. Well, that clearly is a major non-conformance. What's the implications? Not really sure. And also on that particular project, there's a big flag there, new lock, huge brass plate. Okay, what's behind that? And that's a little bit about your competency, your ethics, your knowledge, experience, and so on. Also about ethics, caring about it. What's behind there? And as we saw, we unearthed something. And you'll notice the top of the door. So this project, the building was modified to allow more services to go in. So the specification was basically chop the top of the door off, lower the head, the frame head, and away we go, which you can't really do. So that's the inside. So this will be the perceived fire side. That's what we're planning in. Notice the top hinge. The top hinge is now right at the top of the door, which anyone that's involved in fire doors will know that's not good. So it's all looking pretty grim at this point. There we go, view of the hinge. So we do a controlled remediation and the best in-service we can find. If the in-service door is complete failure, we might get some success with a remediation, which then can be rolled out. If both fail, it's okay. You're going to need to replace several thousand doors. So this is the test. So there's 2 samples. The sample 2 has been modified. Sample 1 is the in-service sample. So interestingly, at 5 minutes, we don't have any heat. We don't have any reaction from the intumescence. We've got plenty of smoke. So 5 minutes, still loads and loads of smoke. Integrity is okay. We're going for 30 minutes here, by the way. So 7 minutes, still loads. I wanted to do this in short intervals so you could see 8 minutes still going. You start to see some staining. .15 minutes. Videos lose a bit. So 15 minutes. The smoke stopped. The intumescents are starting to react. Here we go. The intumescents are starting to react, and we're now in a situation we've got some good sealing. Video's not brilliant, is it? Okay. Let's keep going. So, more sealing. 30 minutes. This is the target. So actually, I don't know who was expecting a huge failure, but I was surprised. So we got to 30, shame that, there we go. So we got to 30 minutes, and actually, the door on the left somehow survived. The door on the right's performing better. So yeah, so again, we've got good data. Even if it had, as I said previously, even if it had failed, we could have used, so we can see the one on the left, is suffering. It's definitely on the edge. The one on the right is still holding. And the one on the right had enhanced intumescence. The one on the left, we can see it's just about hanging in there. But we can use this data to risk assess. Okay, if it had failed at 20 minutes, is that enough? Whatever. Right, case study 3. Case study 3 is a local authority that had a load of GRP doors. The GRP doors are widely used, have a little bit of a bad name, but they're okay. The right products are okay. So what we had here was a dispute over the validity of the certification, kind of linked to Grenfell. Turns out the testing wasn't all it should have been. Okay, so big dispute between the local authority and the manufacturer. Please, can we have test evidence? And it was basically going legal. And in the meantime, that's not good enough for residents. In the meantime, we said, right, we need to test an in-service door. Again, we picked the best one we could find. And there's loads of distortion in the top corner. Still not a fail, but the GRP is really distorting that will be on the inside. And the lockage points, you get the 3-point lock there. You can see some flash through underneath the threshold. I hope this video comes good, because it needs to. So it's 16 minutes. 16 minutes in, we noticed something not quite as we anticipated. So still loads of distortion, but the intumescents have kicked in. But if you watch, see what happens. Okay. So 16 minutes, we have a failure. So clearly, we've got a decision to make. Is 16 minutes enough? So definitely an early fail. And we've got loads of distortion. Let's click through. So basically, good data gives us confidence and value. Confidence to make the right decision, value to the client. So thank you very much. Anyone got any questions? I'll be in there. Thank you.